Welcome to Marketing Matters with Art of Strategy.
Welcome back to Marketing Matters with Art of Strategy. Today in the studio I have two of my favorite ladies. We have Brooke Dieterlen, the Director of Client Services, and the boss herself, Tina Winslow. Ladies, how are we doing today?
Great.
We're fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thanks for coming in. So we're just going to jump right into it. We were talking internally the other day, and Brooke, you brought up some fantastic points, and we thought that this would be a great place to talk about some of those points. Could you tell us what you brought up, please?
Yes. Because I'm Director of Client Services, I work with all the clients directly. And I listen to their questions and their frustration with what they're trying to get accomplished. And we implement a strategy, and oftentimes they come to us and they say, I'm thinking about maybe we should try this. And change up the strategy a little bit. And I just wanted to know, I know internally what our team does for our clients, but maybe we could explore what that looks like when someone changes or wants to change up their marketing strategy.
Sure. We welcome the clients saying, hey, we want to do this, we want to do that. We look at it from a viewpoint if it's going to alter the strategy at all, but a lot of times what it does is add a layering approach, and that is absolutely fantastic for marketing. So if you have an initial campaign that's going towards one audience, adding a second audience or even re-hitting that first audience in a different way helps get your message across and actually have it sink in and them take action. So I'm thinking about, in particular, one was like an email drip campaign. That sounds a lot more complicated than it is. Email, we usually call them newsletters, but they can be anything. It's like a blog, can be anything. But an email drip campaign is where you send emails at the right time for the right audience where they are in the sales cycle. So, for instance, if someone is in the cart and is almost done with a purchase, you're not going to want to send them one that says, hey, come try out our product, because they were already further down the sales funnel than if they were at the beginning, which was like, hey, here's our product. So if they're in an e-commerce type situation, you can email them and say, hey, we saw that you were in your cart, with this coupon convince you to take the next step, or what can we do to help you take the next step, which is a purchase. So that's a huge use for an email drip campaign, and it's really useful capturing that audience and directing them back into the path that you want them to go.
Right.
So if it's at the beginning, that's usually like, hey, I want to introduce you to the product. A little further in, maybe you've done some research, you see through your analytics that they have gone to different parts on your site and they're kind of moving around on your site, and you're like, hey, maybe you need this step. It's a good way to kind of interact with clients in a way that allows you to advance your goal and not get in their bad graces for annoying them. So if you just send you've all gotten an email and you're well into a cycle with a company, and then they send you a hey, how's it going email, and you're like, no, I'm already a client of yours. Yeah. I need you to acknowledge the fact that I'm a client of yours. That's a great way to layer in an additional campaign. So I recommend that in all of our clients,
Right, absolutely. One of the things that often we have to take a look at is not only what strategy we have implemented for them, but how long have those strategies been implemented? And what are they using as their analytics or their data that is causing them to want to change course?
Yes. And that's a good thing that we need to look at from the beginning, which is why do they think that we need to change the course? We're always welcome to it, but
Right.
are they seeing something that we're not seeing internally? Because sometimes, for instance, we have a legal client that we do work for. I don't always know, like I know how much traffic, I know how many leads we're driving, I know what we're putting in their pipeline, but then they have to look at that pipeline and go, this was a good lead, this was a bad lead, this was a lead that didn't go anywhere but is close. And we have to evaluate that. And so coming back and evaluating that is always a good step. In terms of analytics, we talked a little bit about last time with Google Analytics 4. I definitely think that we should tell all of our clients it's coming right now.
Right.
Even if you're not a client, and you should be. But if you're not, you need to look at Google Analytics 4. It is not a one-to-one with Google Analytics UA. There's some things that from the setup that Daniel remembers, you had to go in and do all that 14 months.
Yeah.
The data retention is only 2 months when you first start. And if you don't go change it, you won't get 14 months worth of data, which is important.
Yes.
So definitely do that. Look at your cross-channel. They have a lot more with Google Analytics 4 right now where you can look at where people come in maybe socially, or they come in from an email, or they come in organically, and then what action do they take on the site, because there's different things they do. And that reporting can definitely tell you from a funnel point of view, are these groups producing the results that we want? So you may have a ton of people coming and none of them are filling out a form. Why? You've got to
Right.
figure that out. What, you know, and analytics can help you track that down a lot more than just eyeballing it and be like, I think that that's what's happening.
Right.
But if you get some good analytics from the beginning, you can definitely do the metrics and check that out.
Now, what about I have a lot of clients that are not very familiar with the Google Analytics 4 and how it impacts them. How would you, as the owner of our agency, how would you explain to folks out there what to expect about the change and time frame? And do they need to engage someone like us to help them, basically transition through that process?
For sure. I think that you don't have a choice in this. So Google Analytics is sunsetting UA July 23. I don't know the exact date in July, but let's just say July 1st, 23. It is gone. And your data is gone. So if you have an old account, you definitely need to convert it over to the new account and do that now. You need to go in into the data retention and change the amount of data retention that you've got. And you need to remember that with Google Analytics UA, you were looking at sessions and visits and those kind of things. When you go to G4 or GA4, it's engagement. So what they're trying to do is get people to do content that engages.
Right.
And that's always what they've wanted. They've always wanted content that, they want to send people to the right site. Google, I'm speaking of Google, wants to send people to the right site for what they're searching for. But if you don't have that set up from the beginning, you're
Dead in the water.
you're kind of dead in the water. You have to start from scratch.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah, we're talking about the changes that are coming. The Google Analytics 4, of course, is a major change. But going back to the change in campaigns, we talked about the drip campaigns and how changing that up can be effective, doing it the right way, approaching it the right way. But some other changes that we see are, obviously paid advertising
Yes.
can be a hot thing for companies and not so hot for others.
Yes.
The budget is, let's talk about changing advertising and throwing dollars at paid advertising.
Well, a lot of times clients want to start, and this sounds not logical, but they want to start with what's free. And to them, Google Organic is free. It is not free. Let me clear that little rumor up there too.
It's free if you want to do it yourself.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Exactly. It is 100% free if you do it yourself.
Right.
And you know what you're doing. It is not free if you have someone helping you do it. And that's probably your best bet because there's a lot of information and a lot of data to do. But when you're doing organic, it is time. So
It's the long game.
it's the long game.
Yeah.
You're looking at 60, 90, 120 days.
right.
And so when you put something, like when you put a quarter in a machine, you want that machine to go.
Yes.
You don't realize it's going to take 120 days till you start to get the claw going. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just not right away. But paid advertising is right away. When you turn on that funnel, it turns on immediately.
Oh yeah.
And that is a great tool, but you've got to do it right because Google is very good at taking budgets.
Right.
And I've talked to a lot of clients that have come to me and I've said, well, Google said I should spend more money. And so I did, and I didn't get any return. And I'm like, let's dig in. And that can be for a lot of reasons. But again, the analytics is going to be crucial to that. But adding paid advertising is a good way to enhance your campaign with the right strategy. So using Facebook ads, using Google, obviously, there's a new one for local services called Google Local Ads that is fantastic. It's not just clicks, it's a call and you only pay for the calls. So
Nice.
yeah, so
Yeah.
but it can be expensive. So like we have some clients that are doing it and it is, $60 a call, but that's worth it to them. And
Right.
that's the metrics that you have to do.
Right. Yeah. These days, if somebody's calling, the odds that they're going to commit with that purchase are very high. With the internet, if I'm not calling you, unless you're really, really worth my time,
You're far down the funnel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're far down the funnel.
Right.
But that's a good thing for local businesses. It's a little harder for national and that kind of thing. But getting a paid campaign going with pay-per-click, which is PPC, and we were explaining this to a client the other day, it's a direct sale. So you put up an ad, they've searched for that, they click on your ad. If you've got a great landing page, which is a whole nother topic, you convert them to a sale. And then you can say, this keyword led to this action, led to this sale. And then you can know what's working and what's not working. With organic, you can kind of do the same, but you measure it a little bit different. So it's apples to oranges. It's not the exact same, but it is a good way to layer in a campaign.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah. The thing that I run into when I'm talking to clients is, should we spend more money? And, each of their different businesses and services depends on their target personas and what campaigns are already in existence. So, a lot goes into account, but also I make sure to tell them that, it's budget dependent.
Yes.
So, if you don't have a real strong marketing budget to utilize a lot of extra dollars for paid advertising, then it falls on organic efforts.
Yes.
And I think that's what AOS, since I've been involved as a client, that is one thing that you all were always able to. AOS always worked with me and maximized my marketing efforts. And I love watching that happen for current clients.
That's great. Yeah, and that's something that clients should take into account is that there are going to be 2 fees for all paid advertising. There's your hard cost of what Google or Facebook, or if you're doing geofencing, whatever that ad network is, charges. And that's up to them. And then there's going to be a management fee, which is us taking care of the ad, getting you the metrics, making sure the conversions are happening in the way you want to happen. But there's a 2-part cost there that clients should know about.
Right, right. You know, another thing that was asked, social media content strategies, changing those up. I mean, obviously you can post every day as many times as you want, but do you want to just throw out things that don't stick? And so we are a lot more thoughtful of how we put together our strategies for each client. But can you explain shifting in social media content strategies and
Sure.
what that might look like for AOS and the client?
Yeah. So social is its own beast. Again, people perceive it to be free. It is not a free. It's free to join. Putting your content up is you need to think of it as an opportunity cost, because you are going to give up your time to create content, and that time needs to be accounted for. But a lot of times people just put up whatever they're thinking at the moment with no thought behind it, and it doesn't usually lead to conversions. It gets your message out there, and that's great. It's great for awareness.
Brand awareness, yeah.
But it's not so great for conversions. So when you want to add a social campaign, we want to think about the persona that we're talking to. So at the beginning of every account that we do, we work with you to help you identify your personas, your brand personas. Who's buying your product? What do they look like? Like down to the details. Like, do they shop 3 times a day, or what is it that they're doing that makes them different? And how can we talk to them? Once we have found a way to talk to them, which is sometimes through advertising channels, it may be Facebook, Instagram, it may be Google, it may be geofencing, it may be one of those avenues. But when you find a way to talk to them, getting a message out that's going to help convert them is going to be key. So if it's about awareness, great, make it about awareness. If it's about converting, maybe put a call to action in there. Call, fill out the form, check this out, sign up for this class, whatever it is.
Discount, right?
Yeah, get a discount. Give them a reason to click on that link. If not, they're just going to go, great, thanks. You know, you have to kind of pull them into the funnel.
Yes.
And so what I get a lot of times is social people wanting to just put content out, and then they forget about the community building. And the community building is, once you put out content, are you responding to it? Are you saying thank you? Are you integrating with your clients? Are you pulling them into your funnel in a way? And that's where social media, you can do it, but you need to do it in a thoughtful way as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you have a lot of opinion in regard to the marketing strategy. I mean, coming from, you're young and you're very tech savvy, and you're very astute to trends and how AOS can keep up and maintain a level of, I think, expert level information on how to take each of our clients' campaigns and make them work. And you have very strong opinions about social media and what doesn't work and what does work. Have you noticed any trends in the social media content strategies or things that you're seeing that the viewers may want to know about?
I'd say when it comes to, it's like Tina was saying, we must collect data to know who our clientele are. Because if you look at social media in a very broad scope, it's a majority of young users.
Right.
We have a law client, we have realtor clients, we have restaurant clients. Are the 13-year-olds dancing to TikTok videos buying that? No.
Right.
So we must collect data and figure out how to implement a strategy to get to these people who will buy, to get the conversions.
Yes.
And then it takes calls to action. People think that social media, it blows up because we see viral people, we see like brands of faces constantly,
Yes.
people representing themselves, entrepreneurs. I feel like if you want to have a strong, successful social media campaign, then you should have somebody who is the face of your brand. If you're in the position to do so. If not, if you're just providing services, then yes, you really must look at the data.
Right.
And then from that data, that's how we can move forward.
Yeah.
Because you can just post. You can post all day. I can make a post right now on Facebook,
Right.
on all of it.
Right.
All of us can.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that going to make us any sales? Not if I'm not choosing what I'm saying, who I'm saying it to.
Right.
Or guiding them through a path.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. It's all about, it's funneling people down. And in particular with social media, with the internet in general, but with social media, it's so broad. Everyone can see it, and
Right.
everyone will see it.
Yeah.
But sometimes the people that you want to, they're not. It's
They
just,
may not be in that location.
exactly. Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the things that we look at as a company, and where Daniel has become so valuable, is valuable, is that you have that vision of where people are hanging out in age groups that a lot of times, as we have aged, we stayed with our current group, which is, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Right.
And you're like, hey, that's not where people are hanging out now.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, we need to investigate that and get to know that. And if you don't have that fresh blood that comes in and says that, then you can become staid. And marketing is not a staid profession.
Right.
So having you there is crucial to letting us know when things are going to fall flat or when they're going to, the data helps us too, but a lot of times it's also knowing the trends.
Right.
And you're especially good at that. So
Yeah, I love that we have a team member that comes in with a whole different attitude, aptitude, like knowledge base. He is critical to what we're doing. And we were talking in the car the other day about TikTok and how everyone wants to ride the TikTok train and how it's more for entertainment. And so we try to let people know that if there's some way you can do a call to action or get some leverage by using that channel, then certainly. But for us, we view it as more of an entertainment channel. So we encourage more Reels or LinkedIn or Facebook.
And that's twofold right now for Reels is that, well, in general, TikTok is also owned by China. And not just China, but China's military.
Right.
So it's you're putting your information, and there's a lot of information that you're giving them.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. I'm just saying be aware.
You're right.
Be aware.
Somebody owns everything that you're putting your information on.
Yes.
You're giving it away regardless.
Yes.
But you should have a strategy as to how
Right.
you're going to do it. And are you selling something that a majority of the users are even going to buy?
Right.
Because if you're not, it's just like Google. It will take your money. We're going to take, please, you want to spend it? Please,
Right.
come on. But you're not going to get those conversions if you're selling car insurance to 13-year-olds.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Not the right audience.
nobody's going to buy.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about it on a internal level that we're going to have a discussion on one of these about funnels and about how the back to basics goes. And I think that would be a good point if you're listening to us to start there, because that's going to be a good back to basics. If you're wanting to know how to build a campaign from the ground up, that's going to be where you start.
Right.
Well, obviously, there's always exceptional material discussed on Marketing Matters with Art of Strategy. But yeah, one reason to tune in for the next time.
Yeah.
I definitely think that that's important. Is there anything else that you can think of in regard to clients and change of strategies that's important for the viewers to know?
Let's see what we've covered. We covered G4. We've covered our opinions on the various social media things. Is there anything, Tina? Do you
I
have
think
any?
that we've covered it.
I think the bottom line is change can be made.
Yes.
Change can be done. We don't always encourage it depending upon the results that they're getting from the current campaign, but we're always open to listening and exploring with our clients to just see what test different results for them.
We're all about testing. We're all about putting it out there. And if we don't suggest it and they do, that's great. We'll layer it in. We just want to do it where it's part of the bigger vision and it's tied in with how we're going to see results so that we can get the best results for our clients.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing, and not to speak for everybody, but the biggest part to pull away from this is that we're always willing to adapt with your strategy, and all we want is the best for our client. And we're willing to shift and change depending on what your needs are. But we also want you to understand as the client, because part of our job is to understand what your needs are coming to us. You know, some people just we want sales, we want conversions, but you know, what does that mean for you? What are the things that we can implement to help you? And you have some suggestions. We're totally we're open to hear those, but we also need to figure out how we can mold that in with things that need to be done. A lot of people, you know, it's like you say, this machine just does, it's not a push button start. It is a beast that you must tame. And if you don't take the time to tame it, it'll knock you down.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's ever changing.
Ever-changing.
So Marketing Matters, this podcast, and the AOS team is always ready to take questions and help others figure out how to make it happen for them.
And that does bring us to this question, or not a question, but if you have a question or you want us to talk about a topic, please leave a comment wherever you can down below.
Yeah.
Wherever that is, where this is posted, please leave a comment and we will talk about that topic.
Well, ladies, thank you for coming in. Thank you for listening to Marketing Matters with Art of Strategy. And everybody, have a good day.